Hi and welcome back to my channel. I'm Rasha from Peridot Makeup. Today's video is about YouTube and Instagram makeup trends that really need to go. So if you're heavily invested in only YouTube and Instagram makeup that really doesn't work for the real world, then I ask you to keep scrolling because I will say some things that really will offend you or that you won't like. If this is your first time in my channel, I welcome you. I've been a professional makeup artist for over 20 years. I specialize in bridal and special event makeup. I started my YouTube channel in response to my clients who want to see some real life, realistic makeup techniques that will actually work for the real world and don't look cakey or age them or are overly complicated. And if you're not subscribed to my channel, I invite you to subscribe, watch my other videos, make sure you give me the like and leave me your comments in the comment section so I know which videos really appeal to you. If you have any questions or concerns and you disagree with me, that's absolutely fine. Let me know in your comments section below. Make sure you share my videos as well with your friends, and let's get started. The first trend that really needs to stop is overlining your lips. A lot of people get fillers anyway, and often you see people who have really large lips going over their natural line as well. I'm not saying that you shouldn't go over the natural lip line, absolutely not, because I do that myself. But what I'd like you to keep in mind is that if you do want to overline your lips, not to go too far into the skin. Because as soon as you go on that skin, you'll notice a big change in texture. So the skin is very different on our lips than it is on our, the mustache and beard area, the chin area. So what happens is when you go over lipstick is that when you look sideways, it naturally goes in, especially if they've had fillers done. So the difference would be like this, and then it goes in like that. And if you see lipstick going on the part where the lip has clearly ended, in real life it looks really odd, but you can also see that on camera. If you really must, and if you are only just overlining your lips for the camera, then I strongly recommend you use a matte lipstick or lip liner. Avoid using gloss or shimmery lipstick on that part because that is really going to draw attention to that. And also try to keep them symmetrical. The second trend that needs to stop is baking underneath your eyes. The skin underneath our eyes is usually quite dry. So when you put powder on, what the powder does is it absorbs any kind of moisture. Even if you have moisturized this area and applied concealer or foundation, once you come in with the powder is going to absorb any kind of moisture that it can get its hands on. So naturally you will start cracking the skin. So naturally the skin will start cracking. It doesn't matter how old you are. This is not an issue about age. Of course, the older you are, the more visible it will be, but even 15, 16-year-olds will notice a significant amount of cracking, and then all of a sudden they'll think they have creases and wrinkles, where in fact they are not actually creases and wrinkles. It's just simply expression lines. So when you smile, you get these natural lines anyway. Now, don't confuse what I just said with not using powder at all. On the contrary, I do encourage using powder. However, it really needs to be applied very thinly. You really don't need much powder at all. It is really enough just to dip in your powder brush into your powder and tap off the excess and then gently just press it on. Over contouring. You really don't need to contour every single part of your face. Don't forget, contouring is really just to add sculpture, add dimension, and enhance some of the features. So you can manipulate some features, like for example the nose. If you have a rather wide nose or long nose, you can manipulate that to make it appear thinner or shorter. But if you already naturally have a slim nose, then you really don't need to contour your nose, because what's really important is to keep in mind that everything in our face needs to be in proportion. So for example, if you have a slim nose already, but you have had fillers done on your lips, on your cheeks, or you've got plump cheeks already as it is, and then you go in and contour your nose further, then it will all be out of proportion. So in my opinion, it looks really imbalanced if you have a really small nose, but then big cheeks, big lips, and then big eyes and big eyelashes and big eyebrows. So try and keep everything in proportion. Resist the urge to do something just because everyone else does it, because everyone else doesn't have your facial features. Please keep that in mind. Lately everyone's been talking about a concealer technique which finally eliminates the triangle underneath the eyes, but says to only apply concealer or the highlighter underneath your eyes if you've got discoloration under your eyes, to apply the concealer in the inner corners of the eyes and then on the outer corners up here to create that lift. Now, can I just point out that this really does not work for every age? Does not. Why? Because this part here is where we have the most creases. Now, the composition of a concealer is usually thicker than that of a foundation, which means there's a bigger chance of the concealer actually filling in these creases and making itself really comfortable there. If you're anything above 25, you would have some expression lines. So when you smile, or when you stand, or when you're sad, or whatever, you'll have these expression lines. So when you put that concealer up here in the same amount that you would put in the inner corners of your eyes, it'll just magnify those lines. So instead, what I recommend you do is apply the concealer in the inner corners and the hollows of your eyes, depending whether you have eye bags or just dark circles under the eyes. And if you don't need anything done, then please avoid that altogether. Again, makeup is not all about piling on products unnecessarily. No, there is a purpose for every single product. Please keep that in mind. So my recommendation is to apply the concealer in the inner corners, and in my case I put it just here where the hollow begins, so where the darkest part of my eye is, and then I blend it out, and whatever I have left on my ring finger, because the product would have already been warmed up with my finger, I apply up here if needed. But honestly, not everyone needs it, because not everyone has that discoloration here. If you want to create that lift, then I recommend you do that right in the end after you've done your eye makeup. Again, make sure you use a tiny amount. Use your ring finger for that. Make sure you blend it out and dab it into the skin so that it doesn't sit on top and doesn't find any creases to fill. Next on my list is a fixing spray. Now, if you're using one of these fixing sprays rather than the aerosol fixing spray, chances are that you've done your makeup really well and you go ahead and spritz it and you get a big spit on your eyes or your cheeks in one particular spot. And when you look in the mirror, you see it very clearly. It's right here, here, and here, right? How do you avoid that? Now, in my opinion, any kind of spritz setting spray is actually best to be used on a beauty blender or a powder puff, whatever it is you use to actually push your foundation and the products in. So I personally like to apply that on the beauty blender, mix it in with the foundation if I'm using a beauty blender, or the brush, or even my hands. So I put the foundation on the back of my hands and then I spray the setting spray, and then I mix it up, and then I use my fingers to do that because the setting element will already be mixed in with the foundation. And then in the end, once I've done the contour, concealing, blusher, everything else that needs to be done, I spray my powder puff and then I press it onto my face without rubbing. Don't forget not to rub, because if you rub, then you're going to wipe off the makeup. So make sure you just gently press it into the skin. And this way you would have had the setting spray effect without the spits. Next on my list is the eyebrows. Now, we're no longer seeing the graphic eyebrows, thankfully, but what we are often seeing is overbrushed and glued on eyebrows facing upwards. Now, there's a lot of things wrong in my opinion with that. See, I don't mind if this part here faces up. That's pretty, especially if they're not overly long. That is really cute and pretty, I think. But nothing up here should face up. And why on earth would you use soap or glue, whatever it is that they use, to glue them upwards? I can't see anything attractive about it. It doesn't even look like wings, which, yeah. So, in my opinion, just try and brush this out nicely and then keep everything facing the way it naturally wants to face. So laying them down and then extend them outwards. In my blusher on the nose is a big no for me. People go through lengths to contour their nose. And after contouring and having the perfect shape in their opinion, they go ahead and apply a blusher. or even worse, some people actually use a blusher to contour their nose. Now there's everything wrong about that, because it doesn't really look like you're sunburned if that's what you're trying to achieve. It looks like you've been crying, and that's not cute. I don't know. Is it really cute? Let me know if you think that's cute. I can't see it. Well, that's it for today. Let me know what you thought of my points, if you agree or disagree, and please tell me why you agree and why you disagree. Make sure you subscribe to my channel if you're not already subscribed. Give me the big thumbs up, share my videos, and make sure you check out all my other videos, because I really do give you real life advice on what works in makeup for the real world and what really you should stay away from. Thank you so much for watching. Stay safe, and I'll see you next time.